Hey everyone, welcome to Big League Dreaming, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. You're wondering, like, what's the pause? What's the dramatic pause? Well, I just kind of forgot for a second. Well, I forgot the name of the show, what we're all about. It's been a hectic time here as we wrap up a busy summer, and we're getting ready for, I would call it like the time for Major League Baseball, right? We're getting done with the Little League World Series is over. Now we're getting into the summer where, they call this one of the toughest games in all professional sports because it's a long season. And today's show is going to be all about September call-ups and as we prepare for the big, see what team's going to win the World Series. It's a fun time for all of us. It's bittersweet. It's been a long year, but we look forward to this the most. Again, this is Big League Dreaming, the podcast, the show about baseball, dreams, and family. And I'm John, the dad, and on today's show we have two of the three sons. Let's introduce both of them. Joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the AAA Knights, it is son number one, Zach Gonzalez, the Mariners fan. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I know. I'm super pumped up for our topic today. I know we've touched on, guys making their major league debut, and this is Big League Dreaming, the podcast. But I don't know if we've ever done an entire episode specifically dedicated to this topic. So I'm like super excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I am too. And in September, it's like it's. But we'll get into it because September is a strange month for teams. The teams that are in their winning their divisions, the teams that are on the bubble, trying to get the wild card spot, and the teams that are rebuilding and getting ready for next year. So it's definitely every team's approach is different, and they got to play each other. So it just sets up for some interesting matchups. Son number two is also with us today. He is the Mets fan. He's based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Handles all of our production. We really appreciate his talents that he brings to the show. It's Ty Gonzalez. Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah, like Zach said, this should be a fun episode talking about September call-ups and everyone making their major league debuts or coming back up from the minors. Maybe they've been in the minors for a little bit of time. This is season 4, episode 30. We're on 97 episodes total, so we're getting close to that 100 episode.
Well, I can't wait till we celebrate that century mark. I tell you what, son number 3 is Zane Gonzalez. He's the Red Sox fan. He's based in South Bend, Indiana. Fall is a busy time for him. He is still in baseball. He's coaching at the NAIA level. He is the associate head coach. He handles the pitchers and recruiting for Indiana University at South Bend. So this is a busy time for him. And he also has a little baby at home. So did you guys see the photo of the little baby dressed in a Red Sox uniform or Red Sox outfit?
Yeah, I saw that. Representing from day one.
Yeah, because Zane is the Red Sox fan. Although the Red Sox are playing the Tigers in a series this weekend over Labor Day weekend 2024. So, and you talk about two teams in different spots, but we can talk about that in a little bit. But Zach, when it comes to September call-ups, are you still in that league where you're in the minors, or you guys do prospects quite a bit?
Yeah. I have a dynasty fantasy league where we get minor leaguers that we can put on our roster and add them as they get promoted to the major leagues. So it's definitely elevated my prospecting game and following MLB prospects and things like that. So yeah, on September 1st, MLB rosters will expand from 26 to 28. So each team can call up one hitter and one pitcher to their rosters. So, and that's Sunday, September 1st. So I know there's talk about like postseason eligibility, and pretty much if the player is on your 40-man roster, so if he's in your minor leagues, he's one of your 40-man guys, or if they're on the 60-day IL by Saturday night, August 31st at midnight, then they're eligible for the postseason. So because of that, organizations can't go on the waiver wire, add someone to their team, the first week of September, and have them play in the postseason. So they can, sign guys in September to help supplement their major league roster, but those guys just aren't eligible for postseason play.
So that adds a little wrinkle to things as well, right?
Right. But all of the 40-man guys that they'll call up in September, those guys would be postseason eligible if they think they can make a difference at the MLB level during their run.
Some of these guys that are on that AAA level, getting ready for their call up. I mean, they're probably anxious, ready to be called up, especially if they're a playoff contender, right? Like the Yankees or the Orioles. They're probably like, or the Dodgers. They're like, okay, call me up because I want to be eligible for the postseason, right?
Yeah, they want the ring.
It's all about the ring. But like I said in the intro of the show, that's what we love about baseball, right? It's a long season, and this is where the topic of today is September call-ups, but it's also these teams jockeying for those positions and where they see the future of their organizations if they're not in contention. Wouldn't you agree, Zach?
Oh, absolutely. Just getting that experience is so big too. So, like you mentioned, Tigers, Red Sox, maybe some teams that aren't necessarily going to make the postseason, bringing up those September call-up guys just to give them experience, that's invaluable.
And Ty, I guess it'd be like NFL preseason. It's my scrubs are playing your scrubs.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. Throwing the backup guys, see how they do.
Right, right. You never know what's going to happen there. But I don't mean scrubs. NFL maybe taxi squads or whatever they're called. But in professional baseball, those AAA guys. I mean, there's so much talent there. Even Double A, obviously Double A is to me the richest um, level. But well, let's not stop talking about that. Let's get to the topic at hand. Zach, you mentioned you have a couple players at least. Ty has a couple players. I have a couple players. Let's start with you, Zach. A couple of guys that you're looking forward to that might get the call this September.
Yeah, so I got two guys that already got the call, and then I got two guys that I'm looking forward to seeing if they get the call. So the first one is Rhett Lauder, starting pitcher in the Cincinnati Reds organization, who was a first rounder 2023 draft last summer out of Wake Forest. He went toe to toe with Paul Skeens in the College World Series. He was the ace pitcher at Wake. He just got the call, and he's actually starting Friday night. So we're recording this on Friday, so he'll be starting tonight in the second game of the doubleheader against the Brewers to make his major league debut. Um, and then the other guy that got the call is Caden Dana, who's the number one prospect for the Los Angeles Angels. He'll be making his major league debut on Sunday afternoon to face the Mariners, Dad. So he's a big pitching prospect for the Angels, and he's totally skipping AAA. He's going right from Double A, and you're seeing that a lot more. But he leads Double A in strikeouts, 147 strikeouts. 20-year-old righty, has some really good stuff. Um, and then the two guys that I'm hoping to see get the call are Colson Montgomery, who's the shortstop in the White Sox organization. He's the shortstop here in Charlotte. 22-year-old, 6'3", drafted out of high school in 2021, 22nd overall. But he's really having a tough year here in Charlotte. I mean, he's only hitting 206, slashing 206, 323, 369 with 14 home runs and 50 RBIs. A lot of strikeouts, 139 strikeouts in 109 games. But it's September and on the south side of Chicago, there's no pressure, right? And I think he's their number one position player prospect. I could see them giving him a call. Hey, come up for a few weeks, give you some experience, and just get acclimated because you're our guy. We trust in you, things like that. So it'll be cool to see a Knights player get called up. And the last one, Dad, I'm excited to tell you about. Hopefully he wasn't on your list. Jacob Mizorowski from the Brewers.
He was not.
So he's the number three prospect in the Brewers system, and right now he's in AAA with the Nashville Sounds. I saw Mizorowski pitch last summer when I went out to Seattle for the Futures game, and he was throwing 100. And it's just this crazy arm action. It's kind of Chris Sale's sidearm, but he's a righty, and he's 6'7", and he's a JUCO guy.
Wow.
So he's from Missouri, pitched 1 year at JUCO, and then gets drafted by the Brewers. And they're saying this guy's going to be a reliever. They have him be a starter for 2024, and he was awesome. And then they call him up to AAA Nashville, and they're like, all right, we're going to put you in the bullpen, see what you can do. Brewers are having a great season. Maybe you can help us in the postseason, September. He goes to the bullpen. He's been dominant. And I worked Tuesday night. Nashville Sounds are in town here in Charlotte. They brought him in for I think it was it was the bottom of the eighth inning because the Knights were ahead, and he made these two batters look absolutely stupid. And he was throwing 100. I think he touched 105 times out of the 10 pitches he threw, something like that. And I was like, I hope this guy gets called up to the Brewers and just like blows people away. So I'm excited about Mizorowski.
That's cool. A JUCO guy. I love it. I love that. All right, Ty. What do you got over there?
Yeah, so I got a couple guys that I think will be called up for sure. One of them already got called up. He played in the Little League Classic game for the Yankees against the Tigers. He went 0 for 4, but outfielder Jason Dominguez, he's doing really good in AAA. He's having a really huge year. Every other night, I mean, he's hitting triples and clearing bases. He's a very highly rated prospect. I could see him definitely getting called up. Some analysts are saying he could even start in left field if he does get called up because Verdugo is struggling right now. So I think it'd be a good time. I mean, Yankees are going to make the playoffs for sure. So it'd be a good time to bring him up and give him another shot. He went 0 for 4 in that game against the Tigers, and then he went right back to AAA. So it'd be good to see him get called up and see what he can do a few games in the outfield. And then another pick I had is somebody in the Pirates organization. He's the number one prospect for the Pirates right now. He's a pitcher, Bubba Chandler. He was drafted in 2021. I think he was 70th overall in the third round. He was drafted out of high school, and he actually was drafted as a position player, and he shifted into a pitcher. And he's having a really good year, and I think it'd be the perfect time to get him called up since the Pirates are in last place. I think they're like 10 or 15 games out of the wild card, and it'd be fun to see another young pitcher there with Skeens get a few starts for the Pirates. I think people would be excited about that.
Yeah, two good solid players. Yeah, I saw Dominguez play against the Tigers in that game, and I'm like, he just looks physically imposing. You know, you're like, whoa, that guy's. It's like Juan Soto, right? You look at Juan Soto, and you're like, whoa, I would not want to pitch against that guy. I mean, you just get like, there's no way he's gonna strike out, but he does. Thank goodness. But yeah, I would not want to face him.
Ty, do you remember when me, you, and Dad did that live stream during spring training where they did like those spring breakout prospect games?
Yeah.
And I think it was Orioles against the Pirates was the
Yeah,
game that we
okay.
watched,
Yeah.
and we were live streaming, and I was like, I hope they bring in Bubba Chandler. I hope they bring in Bubba Chandler. I hope they bring in Bubba Chandler. And then they finally brought him in. I think it was like the fourth inning or something,
Oh, yeah.
and we got to see him throw.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember that.
he had kind of like a slow start to the beginning of the season, but I think ever since like August, he's just been dominant. And
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think it'd be really fun to see those three super young guys, Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and Bubba Chandler all in the rotation.
Yeah, I think the other night he had like 11 strikeouts in AAA one of the nights. So, yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
cool. What about you,
Well,
Dad?
I was glad to see the Tigers call up Ty Madden to pitch. We've been waiting for him to get his chance. The Tigers are so, they have these young pitchers that where everyone's just waiting for them to produce. You know, Casey Mize is going to make a start tonight on Friday, August 30th, as we're recording this. So the Tigers are taking on the Red Sox, as we mentioned. So all eyes will be on Casey Mize tonight. He's in that camp of like, I remember when he made his debut. You probably remember this too, Ty. It was like the Casey Mize era has begun. You're like, come on, you know. I mean, there's no way to say it's an era until they've got a few years under their belt and they can prove they're going to last. But that's what we love about this time of year. So I'm glad to see Ty Madden come up. Zach, were both your guys pitchers?
The four guys that I spotlighted.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had Rhett Lauder from the Reds
right.
pitcher, Caden Dana from the Angels pitcher, and then Colson Montgomery shortstop, and then Mizorowski pitcher.
Pitcher, yeah. So and then Ty went pitcher, position player. I have two pitchers. Isn't that funny that the majority of our players that we're talking about are pitchers? We want to see what they can do at the major league level. Because hitting, I mean, look at the hitting is tough, and pitching is as well. I shouldn't say that it's easier, but so my number one. So here's kind of my philosophy is like, as you guys know, I'm dialed in on the Tigers right now, right? I think that, and I love the American League Central because it's been like the butt of jokes for Major League fans over the years, and not just like the last couple of years, for a while, right? The worst division in baseball, and now I said this earlier in the podcast this year that it's now turned into one of the best divisions in baseball. The Guardians are falling a little bit, but the Twins and the Royals are right on their heels, and the Tigers are over 500 for the first time in a long time. So anything can happen. But the pitcher I really want to see, I'm really interested in this. He's a 7th-round pick from 2021 from Central Arkansas. And I've seen some video of him pitch. I don't know if I've ever seen him in person. It's a left-handed pitcher, Noah Cameron. Are you familiar with him, Zach?
Which organization is he in?
With the Royals. He's with the Royals.
Cameron, I don't think so.
Yeah, so this guy is really interesting. He had some success in 2022. Played like Quad Cities, High A, and then he moved up. 2023 wasn't as good, but in 2024 he came to spring training with a cutter to add to his out pitch is a changeup, right? For a left-handed pitcher to have an incredible changeup like him, he gets strikes and misses all the time, swings and misses on that changeup, and he went from Double A to Triple A in July. At the end of July, 1st of August, and has been dominant at the AAA level. And now he's in the topic of discussions like, hey, he's going to get called up, and he's going to be, you got the Royals that are battling right now, right? They could use him in the rotation or as a reliever. His stats are incredible. He's only had 5 starts at that at AAA, but still, his record's only 1-1, but his 1.72 ERA over 31 innings, and his WHIP is 0.957, 36 strikeouts. Doesn't have like 100-mile-an-hour fastball stuff, but when he mixes up his pitches and he's learned to pitch well, I think that's the other thing too, is that these guys start out as prospects. They're dominant maybe at the lower levels because it's a little easier, I think, to pitch against some of these young hitters that haven't developed yet. And he's been able to adjust and then be dominant at the AAA level. So, left-handed pitcher Noah Cameron, 12th prospect overall in the organization, is my pick for someone that I want to see coming up in September. And then we're going to stick in the American League Central. This kid's really interesting as well. His name is Andrew Morris. He's a right-handed pitcher. He has gone from single A, high A, to double A to triple A in one season. That's
crazy.
I love those stories, right? I love those stories, and he's not as dominant at AAA in some of his recent starts, but just to watch him progress and to be at that level, he's interesting because he's not like 6'3", 6'4". He comes in at 6 foot, doesn't have like overpowering fastball, but what he does have, he throws kind of over the top, right? And it's a different arm slot that people are used to seeing, and that's what's been confusing people at the different levels up to AAA. So he's only 22 years old, and he is I believe, let's see, what round was he? Andrew Morris was, he 4th round, 2022, and he's from Texas Tech University. So I like him. He's a right-handed pitcher, throws a little different. Reminds me of like maybe a little Greg Maddux a little bit. But I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I don't know if he'll get a chance to play for the Twins still this September, but you never know, right? That's the thing. You never know what these teams need as they go into the stretch. But it's interesting to say the Twins, the Royals, the Guardians are all battling for those playoff spots. And where it's going to land, no one knows. And it's going to be fun to watch if these pitchers get a chance to play for them in September.
I mean, it sounds like he's been getting called up all sorts of times this year, so I wouldn't put it past him to just bring him up and who knows, throw a couple innings out of the bullpen or something.
Well, those are my two picks. I think that it's always fun, right? It'll, like you said, Zach. Both teams have a chance to call up a pitcher and a position player, so I think that it'll be fun to see who they select and where it's going to go, and whether these players. I think it's really interesting too when the teams are out of contention, right? And I know I jokingly said my scrubs are playing against your scrubs, but I do love watching the drama there, right? You have a young prospect that comes in and they're taking on the Yankees, or let's say someone that's struggling to get a playoff spot, right? And Seattle, right? Do you have any Zach, any Seattle guys that might get called up that you're excited about? When I was doing a little research, I was looking at Nick Solek.
Yeah, they don't. So all of the Mariners' like top prospects are all a couple years away. They're all. I mean, the two that are the closest would be Cole Young and Harry Ford, which they're both in Double A, a catcher and a middle infielder. So they're more 2025 guys at the earliest. So I don't think that they would push either of them. I think the Mariners would probably just like take a guy off the injured list to be their added person, or bring up a hitter and a pitcher just like from depth from AAA, not like a fun impact like the Washington Nationals calling up Dylan Cruz the other day, one of the top rated guys in all of baseball, who was drafted teammates right behind Paul Skeens, go 1 and 2 out of LSU. Like the Mariners don't have any top guys like that, so I think it'll be a pretty calm September for them. But yeah, I think they really have to gain some ground on Houston here. I mean, over these next 10 games, Houston has a very tough schedule, and the Mariners play the Angels and the Athletics. So the time is now.
The time is now. And then Ty, your Mets, I mean, like they're trying to give it away.
I know.
They're like they were like right there in that playoff spot, for the third wild card, and they just can't get in a consistent streak.
They're just so streaky. They'll win a ton of games in a row and then lose to some really bad teams. They're playing the Diamondbacks right now, which is a solid team. They've won the last couple games, and then I think they have Boston coming up, so that'll be a fun series to watch. But yeah, they're so up and down. You just never know what you're going to get with them. But they might be able to just barely break into the playoffs. I don't know though. It's the NL wild card race is getting pretty tough.
Well, who knows what's going to happen? But I will tell you this: the feel-good story is watching Lindor have an MVP, caliber season. That's been fun to watch, and Alonso also, doing his thing. But I'm happy for Lindor and for Mets fans to watch him have an incredible year. And we'll see what you guys joke, but the Tigers. I mean, you never know. I mean, they win some games, they might be in discussion, right, Zach? They're battling in the Mariners for that playoff spot in the wild card.
But Dad, they traded away pieces. They traded away Flaherty. Like
I know
they don't have the depth to be able to, because these teams are gonna get hot. They're all good teams. Like they're gonna keep on winning. Like in order for the Tigers to gain ground, they would have to win like I said earlier in our text, they'd have to win like 85% of their games, 80% of their games the rest of the way.
Yeah, but they got Torkelson now.
He's on fire. No, I know. It'll just be fun to watch these games because they'll mean something, right, to those teams they got to play. So that means you're playing against the teams that have to win. And if you can sneak in, they beat the Angels 2 out of 3, which was expected. But, if they can get 2 out of 3 out of Boston, that would be great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a really fun time of year, like we were saying, with it being call-up season. Like, that's what our podcast is all about, right? Big league dreaming. You're seeing guys get called up to make their major league debuts over the next week or so. and you see all the shots of the camera go to their family in the stands, and they're all on their feet and they're clapping, and they're on the road and they're like cheering for their kid or their cousin or their sibling, and you hear that one little section off to the side. It's a really special time for all of them, and congratulations to all the players that are getting called up this time of year.
It never gets old, right? Simple as that. I can watch those highlight clips every single day and tear up every single time, right? I mean, it never gets old.
Speaking of call-ups, Dad, did you see our friend of the show, Scott Kornberg, voice of the AAA Marlins Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, is getting called back up to the Marlins? He's going to do 2 series on the radio for the Marlins Radio Network, the Pirate Series and then the National Series coming up. I believe it's the second week of September. He'll be with the Marlins.
Yay! Another call up. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like Ty has got to wrap up things up there. I'm sure he'll add some information about the show where you can get more information. Unless, Zach, you know it off the top of your head.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at BLDpod, at BLDPOD. You can send us an email, bigleaguedreaming@gmail.com. Follow our YouTube channel. That's where we upload all of the video side of our podcasts. And then, of course, you can listen to all of our podcast audio on Apple and Spotify. So check us out. Got some great episodes coming up here as the season winds down for Major League Baseball and going into playoffs. So thank you for listening, everyone.